trouble with life is it's never so clear.
Welcome to the Trouble with Life is. This is Ace.
And this is AK. The trouble with life is sometimes joy feels out of reach when you're just trying to survive.
Yes, survive. This episode is for anyone who's been told to look on the bright side while quietly holding on to something heavy.
Today we're talking about joy, not the loud kind, not the performative kind, but the kind that exists alongside struggle.
Not as a solution, not as a reward, but as something that can still show up, even when life is hard.
Before we go any further, I'm curious, what comes up for you when you hear the word joy right now?
I feel like joy for me is like knowing that my family's happy. I'll just say that because joy is like a older term. We don't really use that word. Like we use like different terms for different generations. But joy, I would feel like I'm joyful for different aspects of my life.
Anything that doesn't involve other people?
No,
Right now, nothing.
no.
I feel like joy gets talked about like it's something you arrive at once everything is resolved. Like it only belongs to the healed version of you, the settled version, the version who isn't struggling anymore.
But most of life doesn't happen there. I mean, most of life happens in the middle when things are still unfinished.
Yeah, definitely.
When life is unfinished, how has joy shown up differently for you than you expected?
Um, I feel like now joy looks and feels different than it used to. And it's in the little moments, like in the moments when I can take a deep breath when I might not have been able to before,
When
or
that
when,
paycheck hits.
oh, well, you already know that's when I am very joyful.
Yeah, Amazon is too.
Well, hey, yeah. I mean, Amazon's always joyful to be at our front step,
Absolutely.
but it's just it's just different. I feel like joy just shows up very different for me these days, and it's little.
Yeah, I can say that. I can say that. Like I said, the little bit of achievements that make us happy.
Yeah,
You know, joy is like a funny word because you could be joyful, but you could also be dealing with something deep.
yeah, yeah. We definitely get into that too. So,
Ah,
oh, coming
hope
soon.
you're ready.
But I feel like sometimes the question isn't, can I feel joy? It's what kind of joy is actually available right now? And there are definitely seasons when I thought that joy meant everything had to feel good. Actually, I felt that for a very, very long time. And when it didn't, when I was tired or grieving or overwhelmed, I just assumed joy just wasn't for me yet. And I kept telling myself, once this is over, then I'll let myself feel happy.
It's like joy becomes a future version of yourself. I feel like I agree with that statement. Like, um, when you go through the storm, at the end it's like you're happy, like, whew, I went through hell and back.
Mhm.
Like that's the joy part that I think people don't realize that it's okay to celebrate.
Oh yeah, but I think for me, joy was always the future version of myself. It was never the current. It was something that I would maybe consider giving myself permission to feel once I reached a goal or once I accomplished a task. Like I always had to do something more. And maybe once I reached that, once I accomplished that goal or that task, then I might actually feel joy. And so I set these goals and it was like, okay, well, once I earned that degree or that certificate, or once I got that job, or once I lost that weight, or once I did this, that, and the other, then I might feel joy. And it was a constant state of like working and waiting and never giving myself permission to actually feel joy.
I hear how much pressure that puts on you, bachelors and all that other good fun stuff.
Why do you think I have so many things?
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and it also helps you, see that you're learning to go after what you want, but it took a long time to get there.
Yeah, well, I think that's part of the problem, though, is that I always put pressure on myself to fulfill these tasks and goals and achievements. And I didn't feel those moments of joy. I didn't take the time because I didn't think that I should. I felt like I had to do all of these things in order to feel joy. So it was always about getting to that next goal because until then, it wasn't enough. Or in my head, what I've come to realize is that I didn't think I was enough. But I used to tell myself that I was content. And even though I wasn't happy, there were so many people in life who were not even content. So I should be grateful that I was content. And I specifically remember it was probably about 7 or so years ago, maybe a little longer. A therapist started to ask me more about how I describe myself as content. So there's a big difference between joy and content, right? And I told her that I really didn't want to expand on it further because when people started to question how content they really were, that's when they start to become unhappy. And at the time, I spent so much time trying to convince myself that I was content and that it was good to be content because, again, so many people weren't even content that I was content and that was good enough. But in reality, I was just putting up so many protective walls around myself to blind myself of how unhappy I was for so many years.
I mean, what do you think it costs us to live like that? I mean, things come and go, and sadness, life, chores, responsibilities,
Yeah.
children. What do you think it costs?
In some ways, I understand why I lived that way. And I lived that way for a very, very long time of like, okay, I was content and content was good enough. Um, but the thing that costs for me was everything. It cost me time, happiness, my ability to truly experience life and feel moments the way they could or maybe should have been felt in those moments. But with that being said, it was something that kept me safe in those moments too. It was my survival mode. So I wouldn't feel how truly unhappy I was. It was my mask, my barrier, my barrier to life, really, and to feeling like genuine because I was so scared that if I took off that mask or removed that barrier, that I wouldn't be able to face what I knew was my reality. And I knew deep down what that meant for me. I knew that I needed to make a very big and very intimidating decision about my life that I wasn't ready to see or admit at the time. But I needed to admit the fact that my marriage at the time wasn't where I needed it to be or wanted it to be. And I honestly knew that I wasn't with who I wanted or needed to be with. And I tried to convince myself otherwise.
Well, I mean, you have to elaborate on that. What does that mean for you? Like, what if you want it to need it to be?
Because, looking back, my marriage wasn't awful. My ex wasn't awful. Um, we just, it just wasn't my forever. We had a child who I wanted to raise in a family which wasn't broken, as people like to call it. And I thought that staying in my marriage was the right thing to do, to stay together for better or worse, in sickness and in health, as vows will say. And it just so happened that for me, there wasn't too much of the better, especially at that time. So I convinced myself that I was content, and that was my way of getting through. And again, it wasn't the worst marriage. It definitely had moments where joy maybe shined here or there. And I felt like if I was content, I was able to mask anything else that might have been roaring up underneath that. So what did I do? I just created goals for myself and I tried to accomplish these tasks. And I just kind of had a lot of hope that once I achieved these tasks and reached these goals, that the joy would come too. And I waited.
Do you think that content means settle? Because I feel like that's how every relationship, mine included, my previous, I don't sit still long enough.
Yeah.
That's my issue. Again, my past is not awful. I'm actually friends with a lot of them because I chose to leave instead of make it toxic. Um, I also don't know how to argue or fight or anything like that because, I just shut down and I move out without nobody knowing. I'm very terrible at that. Sorry to whoever that did that to. Um, sorry, not sorry. But I also know what I wanted in my life. And I have learned, I've been a nomad all my life.
Mhm.
So when I get into a relationship, I have expectations to be successful and to grow, but I can't say that I could ever settle. Like even with our relationship's new, but you kind of give me right now that go if you have to go. Like you know what I mean. If I have to go to my cousins or if I have to go see my brother, it's not like oh well you have responsibility. It's just, okay. Let's make it work to where you can get it out of your system. And that's helpful because I was honest with you in the beginning. Like, look, I don't know how I'm at a stage in my life where I'm like 1,000% honest and sometimes too honest. But
Yeah. No, I guess I wonder how many people listening recognize that feeling, waiting for permission that never really comes. Like, did you feel yourself doing something like this?
yeah, I would say, like I said, I think I settled for the moment to be content with the person because my feelings overtook my reality,
Yeah.
and I definitely, I'm not gonna say I'm a Scorpio, but I also want to make sure my relationship is fine. I'm always gonna go above and beyond for that person, even when I fail at things. I always put my all into that situation until I can't anymore. Once I get to the point and I say, "Hey, listen, this," and that things don't change. Again, I'm far from perfect. I have my mess ups, but I also owned it. You know what I'm saying? Because uh, I wouldn't have messed up if we would have went here. But I'm blaming myself, but I have to take accountability.
Yeah. Well, and I think so. I can definitely understand that feeling too of like, you give everything to your relationship because that's how I was too. I give everything to my relationship. And so much so that like I tried to convince myself that I needed to stay in it and that it was a good thing to stay in it for so, 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 so long that by the time that I actually really took the stance of saying, this isn't what I want, I had already mourned it for so long before that
Mhm.
that there was no turning back. Like, I had tried everything, I had thought about everything, I had done everything I could possibly imagine to figure out how to make it work. That I was mourning it for so long because I didn't want to make the decision that I inevitably made to leave because I tried. And then at that point in time, that was my realization of like, I've tried everything in my power, that there was absolutely nothing that was going to change my decision of what I wanted and needed. And again, me choosing to leave. And I had to go. There was no other option.
My last relationship, I ended up leaving, but I had a conversation with my mama Hayes, and she don't throw no punches. You know what I mean? She's very very honest with me, and it made me realize that she was right. And of course, it sucks because I have children, I have a family, I had everything. There wasn't nothing I went without, but I was missing something for myself.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people don't realize that they settle, they get content, they have the joy, they have the happiness, but is
Hmm.
it real?
Yeah.
So
That's definitely something that I felt. Absolutely. And I think that's the hard thing too. Like the truth is, some of the hardest seasons of my life still definitely had moments of joy in them. They just looked different. They were just quieter. It might have been relief instead of excitement, peace instead of happiness, breathing easier instead of feeling light. And sometimes I miss them. Actually, I'm sure I missed moments of joy far more than I realized because I was looking for joy to feel like something else.
is there anything that you can think of that consistently brings you joy?
Ah, of course, you already know this answer. My daughter. She can always bring me joy. She could bring me a whole lot of emotions, but the greatest ones are always joy and love. But that may be why I was constantly around her for most of her life. almost every minute of every single day. Like I was never without my daughter. Up until the separation, when I had to split custody, I had a very codependent relationship with her because I relied on her to bring me joy. Hmm. Oh,
Yes, but I mean, even though, yes, you were codependent, but I feel like you also should be blessed because her dad is very active. Like, he could have just wiped his hands and been like, you know what? But he's not a deadbeat. You know what I'm saying? He,
mhm.
he stood up and was like, no. Because that's hard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you went from doing everything for the family and then now it's two separate households, that's hard on all sides, especially the little mama.
Oh yeah, but I think the hardest part of that experience though was realizing how unhealthy that relationship was for me. And
Yes, but parenting you guys did the best you could.
oh,
The
absolutely.
relationship might not have worked, but that's what people don't
Yes.
understand when they co-parent and stuff like that. It's hard, but I think from where we're at now, I think it took a long time to get there with all the issues. But I think with the split custody and everybody on the same page to raise this intelligent child, I think it's going to be a very great success.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But I mean, the thing that I think it's important for me to, really focus on is the fact that like I relied on her to bring me joy.
Mhm.
The fact that I relied on a single child, my child, to bring me joy was so unhealthy. And as a mother, your child should always bring you joy. And she does. And she will always bring me joy no matter what. But I shouldn't rely on her. That's not fair to her. That's not fair to me. That's not fair to anybody for somebody else to be my reason to have joy in my life. And
But you also relied on her for the joy because that's what you thought you had to do.
because I didn't know how to find it otherwise.
Right. And it's hard being honest with somebody that you love for so long to say that it's not there anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think, like I said, I mean, for him and you, I think it hurt on both sides. Everybody was in a hurtful situation, but there's one beautiful person that brings joy to both sides.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's the best part.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I will always feel joy around her. I always will. And, through therapy and healing, I've learned that I can feel joy on my own. And that's how a healthy relationship with my daughter should be, and how a healthy relationship with myself should be, that I can have joy on my own. Um, and that I don't need her to feel joy, but she just brings me joy naturally because she is my daughter and I love her. And that's, she'll always be that way. But it was unfair to her and it wasn't fair to myself to rely on her to fulfill that sense of joy. But now the joy just feels different. It is a lot less heavy. And I mean, she'll always be my greatest joy, but like I have simple joys these days, just living life and existing and being my own person who is somebody I really didn't know.
You're honest with yourself now. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You're
yeah,
honest with yourself and everybody around you, and you're setting boundaries, and you're coming out as being somebody that you want to be.
yeah.
And I also feel like I'm proud of you. Like I said, it's been a little rough 2.5 years or however long, but I think everybody on all sides know that that it's for the better.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and if they don't, hopefully they will eventually, and that's okay. And if they don't, it's still my life, and it's
Yeah,
still
no,
my
that's what I'm
choice.
saying. I mean,
And
you don't have to prove to anybody.
yeah,
You're your own self.
yeah.
Sometimes people think that joy should be obvious, but joy doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it shows up in ways that don't look impressive or shareable. But what's something small that helped you feel steadier lately, even if you wouldn't have called it joy at the time?
hmm Recently I felt an incredible amount of joy when I realized the way that I interpret a situation or respond to a situation and how it's different than how I would have responded to them before.
Okay.
And sometimes it's a subtle difference in maybe the tone of my response. I could even be saying the same thing I might have said before, but the tone is different or the way that I communicate it is different. Sometimes it's just a feeling of being less triggered in a situation or in the way that I like can interpret something or respond to something. Um, Honestly, there's a lot of different feelings these days with what I feel obligated to do. The fact that I no longer feel a sense of obligation to do something for everyone else other than me, where I used to put myself so far down my list of, people to please and everybody was above me. Now I'm a lot higher on that list, and that level of joy is like, yes, I don't actually have to do everything for everyone all the time. Like I'm important too, and that's a level of joy, man.
Yeah.
Like knowing that I'm up there and like I can finally see that and feel that. Um, and I think that owning that, like knowing that like I worked hard and working hard on healing is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. It is painful, exhausting, like so exhausting. But now, in those small, subtle moments of difference, I'm like, holy crap, that's amazing. Like, I've done this. This is me. And I've never been happier with myself. But, like, separate from that, on a simpler note, I am feeling joy in the little moments a lot more often and a lot easier. So when the sun is peeking through the clouds as I'm seeing the sunrise on my way to work, just feeling joy in that moment. And when the wind blows in my face and I could take a deep breath of air, it's the little moments. I don't think that I really paid attention to these. I think it's because I just viewed the world and experienced the world differently. Um, because I was always just seeking contentment, and now I'm trying to find all those little moments in the day. One of the hardest things to accept, though, is that joy doesn't cancel pain,
No, it doesn't.
and they don't compete either.
They coexist.
What would it be like to stop choosing between them and just let them both be true for you?
Um, I think for a long time I'm gonna have a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Um, I I don't know how to grieve. I don't know how to deal with loss, and I have lost a lot of people close to me in the last 2 years to the fact, my mama Hayes, Mr. Morris, my own older sister, my mama, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, excuse me. But I don't know how to grieve that. And, I don't grieve relationships because I don't know how. And I have to learn that.
Hmm.
I miss them. I miss things. I miss previous, but I don't know how to make it healthy.
Yeah.
So I leave it alone. A lot of us carry rules about joy, when it's allowed, how big it should be, what has to be true before we can feel it. Um, I agree. Where do you think those rules came from for you?
I mean, this kind of goes back to what I said a little bit before. I used to think that joy had to be earned, that I had to fix myself first, heal more, try harder. But what I've learned is that joy doesn't wait for perfection. And that is something I was constantly seeking was perfection.
Yes, you still have your moments.
Oh, I definitely have my
You're
moments.
getting better, but I also feel like you were in a previous relationship for so long, where you're looking for a value. You're looking for what's the word I'm looking for? Evaluation. No, that's
Validation.
validation, and you don't have to, because I see that you're trying. I see that you're learning, and I see that you're being yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to people please with me because you already know. Yeah,
Ugh.
I don't deal with it well. I don't like, you ask, permission. You got a lot better with that, and I'm like, you're 37 years old. Do what you want.
Age out there.
You want a cookie, eat a cookie. But I know it's just, you just want to make sure I'm okay and make sure that we're okay before you were okay. And it's not like that anymore. It's getting better.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to Actually, I started running a long, long time ago. It was when I was in my 20s and I was really, really struggling with my mental health. My sister convinced me to start running, and there was a saying that I would always tell myself, progress over perfection, because okay, I hated running. I still hate running.
But I
It
wish
is
you would
still,
get back into it
oh,
because it was something that you
yes.
enjoy, or like alone time. Like you know what I'm saying? Like of course you have your, you have little mama, you have me, you have life, you have work, but that running is your time on your clock.
Oh, yeah. And I will definitely get back into it. You know, my body has to cooperate with me, but mentally, it was one of the best things I could have ever done. And there were so many years of my life that running helped me to survive my mental space.
Thank you to the sister that helped her do that because it does take somebody to show you that path that will help you. So I'm glad that that happened.
Yeah, me too. And like, I mean, since then, it's been a long time since I ran consistently, but there have been so many years where I've picked it up and started again. And then there have been years that I haven't done so well. In the last couple years, I've struggled with some injuries in different situations, but progress over perfection.
Yeah.
3 words that have carried me through so much. And I still tell myself that outside of running. But it's because when you're running and you can get into that mental headspace of like, it doesn't matter how fast you are, it doesn't matter, I'm never going to be the one that ever wins a race. I never have been, I never will be. It does not matter. But holy hell, knowing that I was strong enough to run 13.1 miles, half marathon, multiple times.
Listen, listen. The only thing I'm running from is the police, and I am now in my 40s, so I'm doing that now. But that's if you see me run, either somebody's chasing me or something's wrong. You don't run with me, you're on your own. I'm from Baltimore City. Say that. I don't run unless I have to. But
But
I used to walk all the time and take the bus and everything like that. I love that. Now, not so much. It's not. They're crazy out there, but I get what you're saying. Like that's something that that gives you joy in that moment. Like I said, it's your time, your clock.
well, it's that mental space. Like I spent my whole life as a pretty hardcore athlete. And like let me tell you, running is never something I loved doing per se.
Yeah,
Even at my greatest athletic time, I could run suicides for 2 hours. Let me tell you, my coaches could tell you that I could do that and maybe push some people around on the court and everything.
I literally just want to lay down on the ground.
Oh,
I could not do
yeah.
it. I
Suicide, I love me some suicides, but if you told me to run a mile back in the day, I'd been like, are you kidding me?
listen. I would have quit. I'd have been in the bathroom.
Oh,
I,
I
look,
mean,
I didn't have cell phones
let's
back then when
begin.
I went to school, but I would have been like paging my mama, "Come get me."
Yeah. If it meant playing a sport, I was there for it. But I did choose volleyball over soccer because I didn't want to run the multiple miles of warm
Yeah.
ups beginning.
I
But
was outdoor sports in the street. That was it. That was it for me. I was done. But like I said, joy and tension and pain and stuff like that, it's hard.
yeah,
And you gotta heal yourself first before you can do anybody else.
yeah. But just going back to that, like progress over perfection, like that's a place of mind. Like that is a framework. That is something that even when I'm not running, I still go back to. So when I am going to start running again really soon, I promise, don't hold me to really soon. That's, relative.
I'll be
But
in the car. So if I'm not at work, I'll be in the car sleep. I support
but
you. I support you 1,000%.
oh, I know you're going to be on that side of the race whenever I tell you to wake up early and show up in the cold. And
Yeah, just tell me the time that it ends, and I'll be at the end.
hey, that's
If it's
I
like
would love to have somebody at the end of a race for me.
I'll be
That will
there,
be
but
a new thing, and
I
I will love it.
I hope it ain't cold, cause
It could be. Who
my
knows?
body whittles. I work outside. I can't do it.
I used to run all seasons outside, so. But anyway,
Yeah.
joy shows up the most when you stop fighting yourself for being where you are or maybe who you are.
Jaeger.
Oh, God, it took me a long time, okay? But sometimes joy is just the absence of tension,
Ugh.
not the presence of happiness. And that's heavy. So where do you notice a little less tension lately, even if everything isn't okay?
It's Christmas time.
Um, you get a little
well,
tension. You get a little
yeah,
tension.
yeah, that's gonna be my gift. Tension for me, I feel like I don't have any right now. I'm working, you're working. Everybody's school, everybody's where they need to be. Christmas shopping is done. Thank you, Jesus.
You
Um,
know.
yeah, I've been doing any of it. I'm on strike. But I'm just happy that we're almost to Christmas and then the New Year, and I don't do the New Year resolution thing, but I'm happy to see where 2026 takes us.
2026 is gonna be our freaking year.
I hear you. I hear you.
Our year.
We have a mortgage now.
We gonna knock on wood with that, cause these
So, is
years.
there a life lesson here? It might be this: joy doesn't require your life to be easy.
It requires permission.
Permission. What would it look like to give yourself permission without earning it?
Ugh, ugh, that's heavy. Say that again.
What would it look like to give yourself permission without earning it?
Dang, what are you, my therapist?
I'm your therapist's favorite. Hey, shout out to you, therapist. If you remember me, send me my like $25.
I know.
What would it look like to give yourself permission without earning it?
I mean,
That's tough.
finding joy through struggle doesn't mean searching for it. It just means noticing it when it shows up. Like letting a single moment, be enough. Letting that moment, letting that person, letting yourself be enough without asking or expecting or waiting for everything to be fixed or finalized.
Okay, joy doesn't need to last forever, and it doesn't need to make sense because nothing in life makes sense these days.
Yeah. And if joy feels distant right now, it doesn't mean that it's gone.
It's just a little quieter because it's there, but you just don't know how to express it.
Yeah. And you're allowed to feel good, even when things are hard.
And life is hard. Waking up is hard. My body is hard because I'm old. My body does not want to move. Joy doesn't cancel your pain, as I just said. It sits beside it and it deals with every aspect of your life. It's not a bad thing. It's okay. I don't think it's a bad thing for me. I also think that at the end of the day, be happy. Show joy for once. The world needs more happy people.
But you know what? Even if you're not happy, that's okay. Take that moment of joy anyway.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's okay to show that you're proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, everybody don't hear that. Oh, I'm proud of you. Some people don't hear that every day. I try to say it all the time because
Mm-hmm.
I've come a
Me
long
too.
way. I'm proud of myself, and I love myself because it took me a long time.
Yes. There you go.
All right, y'all. This is it. We have been rambling on for this episode, but I hope you understand that joy doesn't need to be a bad thing. It doesn't have to be a good thing. Just allow it.
Thanks for spending time with us.
If something in today's conversation stayed with you, you're not alone in that. This is the trouble with life is.
We'll see you next time.
Peace out.
The trouble with life is it's never so clear.